Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Phil Carlson, and on behalf of KCSA Strategic Communications, as well as our co-host OTC Markets Group, we're very pleased you have joined us for our next live presentation from Nextleaf Solutions. Before I introduce our speaker, a few points to note. Please submit your questions in the questions box to the left of the slides. If you're interested in scheduling a meeting with Nextleaf, please click on the Meetings tab found on the left navigation bar. You'll be able to view the company's availability and submit a meeting request. On a final note, all of today's presentations will be recorded and available for 24/7 replay. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Paul Peterson, co-founder and CEO of Nextleaf Solutions, which trades on the OTCQB under the symbol OILFF and on the CSE under the symbol OILS. Welcome back, Paul.
And thank you to all our shareholders, everyone who's joined us today, hearing the story for the first time. I'm going to spend about 15-20 minutes here running through Nextleaf's corporate overview. We've had a lot of exciting developments over the last few months, and want to certainly leave some time for questions and love to hear your questions. We've got Ryan Hirsch that's going to be helping bump questions, and I'll get through as many as I can at the end of the presentation. So, for those who aren't familiar, Nextleaf is a federally regulated manufacturer and distributor of cannabis vapes and extracts. The business is really built around three pillars. Intellectual property, we've got over 100 patents issued globally, 19 issued patents in the US. Those patents cover what we believe to be the most efficient process within a regulated market to produce cannabinoid ingredients. That technology really underpins our commercial operations, which is broken into our wholesale ingredient business, where Nextleaf processes unsold cannabis and hemp biomass, produces oils and distillates standardized for potency and purity, and we sell those ingredients through a number of wholesale partners and brands across the country. Nextleaf currently supplies a number of the largest producers and brands in the country, as well as we use our ingredients produced in-house in our own branded products. Last year, Nextleaf launched its first brand. It's our Prohibition era award-winning Glacial Gold brand, which in 2022 finished as the #1 selling CBD forward vape in British Columbia. Very proud of that, and been able to outsell a number of very large producers, well-financed producers. And recently launched a new brand as well, which I'll get into, and really excited to unpack developments in our wholesale as well as our branded business. But I'd like to really start with what is the market opportunity, and I think this is what Nextleaf is going after, but we really believe that this encompasses, I think, the broader opportunity for all cannabis companies. And the most important aspect is our business is really built around upcycling garbage into gold, and our technology is around transforming, again, this unsold flower and biomass is over 2 billion grams sitting in vaults right now. Being able to get to a very high purity ingredient, free of the waxes and sugars that cause issues when you infuse and manufacture products with these ingredients. Of course, our focus on vapes and oils, and really brands built on innovative IP, vapes and oils. We want to be here in those categories simply because that is where a distillate is used in large format. But more importantly, there's been a lot of focus from tobacco and other players in that vape space. We want to own it. We want to win it. On the commercial side, it's all about converting legacy consumers. If you look at cannabis, California, half of the market's illicit. In Canada, it's about 50-50 between regulated and illicit. And we really believe with an award-winning Prohibition era brand and with products at accessible price points, Nextleaf's been able to convert those legacy consumers into Glacial Gold consumers. And then finally, what we think is the real large opportunity is winning the patents arms race and securing U.S. intellectual property rights around the production of standardized molecules before U.S. legalization. And why that's important, we'll get into a little bit later in the presentation. Our competitive advantage, this slide I think does a great job in summing it up. We're able to produce about 1,000 keys a month of distillate, CBD and THC distillates with 3 people, and this would be in comparison to about 10 times the staff, 10 times the infrastructure and production space is required by our competitors who are using off-the-shelf batch-style process. Our technology is all around automation and our closed-loop system that combines a number of steps into our skid, which you see a little representative picture of there. So the idea is our competitive advantage is producing low-cost ingredients very, very efficiently. Nextleaf Labs is our Health Canada licensed facility. We hold all the licenses. We are able to distribute every class of cannabis. This is where we have our automated extraction plant. As I mentioned, capacity to produce 1,000 keys a month of CBD and THC. We also have in-house vape manufacturing with a automated robot, finished goods packaging, and of course distribution to the government distributors from Nextleaf. So looking at our wholesale ingredient business, we've seen a lot of change, I guess, over the last couple of years. Most important factor that I'll point out is the price compression. 2 years ago, a kilo of distillate was $15,000. Now we're around $2,500 a kilo. So it's been a lot of price compression. What that has done is that it's pushed out less efficient processors out of the market. Nextleaf has been able to pick up a significant amount of business over the last 3 to 6 months from less efficient processors. Previous competitors that were making their own oil in-house, now they're switching to a model where they're going to Nextleaf for their supply. Our business here is very simple. We like it because there's a tremendous amount of unsold cannabis that's getting old after about 6 months. It can't be sold as flower. So for us, having the technology and the team and the infrastructure to turn that into a high purity ingredient has allowed us to win a number of clients. Recently picked up the Canadian launch of the Cookies C branded vape carts. We also power a number of leading brands. There was a big facility closure announced last week, and Nextleaf will be supplying the largest cannabis company with formulated ingredients for their soft gels and oils. And really, I think what we are seeing in the market is we're seeing these larger players with too much production capacity, shutting capacity down, going to more of an outsourced model. These are things that we predicted 3 years ago when we see we're starting the business, and we're really seeing these come through today. And then on the wholesale side, work with a number of great distributors across the country. Recently added Newfoundland Atlantic Cultivation. They're the number one distributor in that province to our wholesale program, and recently exported our first export, which was to Australia. It was THC vape pens sold in pharmacies there. So really excited. That's a customer there that has distribution. So for us, launched our own brand. We felt that was very important. We wanted to really own the SKUs at retail, but be able to develop our brands and, most importantly, go head to head against some of the most well-financed companies in the world. I mentioned our award-winning Glacier Gold Prohibition era brand. We recently launched High Plains, which is our street fighter brand with rotating high flow flavor profile products at value price points. Allows us to keep Glacier Gold in more of that premium space, and High Plains, which we use cheaper flavoring, really the energy drink flavors that are really popular in the vape crowd, allows us to stay all natural with our Glacier Gold and really differentiate that way. And for us, we've had some great response to our High Plains products. This slide shows a number of our Glacier Gold products, our entire line from our Session and Anytime vapes, and our CBD vape, which is the number one selling CBD focused vape in the province. Recently launched soft gels, and soft gels are selling phenomenally. We've had struggles to actually keep them in stock. We're going to be excited to give a sales update here in the next couple of months on where we land in soft gels. And then our oils, obviously very popular, have the top selling CBD product. In BC, also have one of the best value products in our CBD 200. It's actually the highest potency CBD product in the country. And what all these products have in common, they're all standardized dose, they're easy to use, large format, and most importantly, they're manufactured with our ingredients that we produce in-house that have that competitive advantage on. So Nextleaf sells its branded products to government distributors in BC, Ontario, Saskatchewan, and Nova Scotia. We're going to be announcing some additional distribution here shortly. For us, we've had a number of wins in BC. What I like to point out most importantly is we've been able to go head to head and outsell brands owned by Canopy, Tilray, Organigram, Sundial. These are companies that have raised and deployed billions of dollars. We've been able to do it with phenomenal quality and value proposition to customers, but really it's this technology that allows us to have this low cost advantage. And we've seen that in the numbers in 2022, finished as the top 10 selling brand of vapes and oils, brought on medical distribution across the country through Mendo. And I think for us, continue to grow that distribution slowly. For us, our model is a little different. We don't do a pay-to-play model where you see some companies really growing their top-line revenue by paying for distribution, especially in Ontario. For us, we believe in the everyday low price strategy. We are very limited in our sales budget, but we're able to grow our sales by having exceptional product at very accessible price points. When we step back and for a minute, I mean, obviously Nextleaf generates its cash flow through selling wholesale ingredients and our branded products, but we really think the value in the company that is unlocked is in our patent portfolio, and we currently stand over 100 issued patents. This map really shows where those patents are in the different jurisdictions. A couple of things we like to point out is when we look at who else is getting patents, number of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world. And we really believe that once the US legalizes federally, you're going to see this patent portfolio and the value really unlock. And what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot more patent litigation in the US. We got a little taste of that with Canopy Growth, launching the first patent infringement case against GW Pharma related to a CBD extraction process. We believe that in the current legal environment, you're not going to see patents be enforced, obviously, in the US, especially where it's federally illicit. But we certainly look at our IP as not a sword, but a shield. What I mean by that is Nextleaf, we believe, has the most efficient process for producing ingredients. In a regulated market, we have 10 issued US patents around the equipment and the process to produce distillate, and believe that the patents prevent any large company from using IP protection and using their patents as a way of stopping their competitors. And we believe that our patents also allow us to enter new markets. And Canada has been a great validation, and what we've been able to do here in Canada, head to head, using our IP in market and winning in the categories that use these ingredients. I want to just talk a little bit about our specialty molecules division, and this is obviously where the bulk of our R&D is done. For those who looked at our financial statements, you'll see that we've reduced our selling and overhead, SG&A, and R&D expenses year over year. I think we've been very efficient in our spend. Our focus last year was on commercializing our CBN production. So develop some proprietary technology to take older, lower quality THC distillate and convert it through a process into a CBN, a cannabinoid that induces sleep. We've recently launched our first sleep-based product here through the BC distribution branch, selling very well. And for us, it's a great piece of work from the division. Also, big focus on our patented excise tax-free molecule THCO. This doesn't exist in Canada. That's being worked on, and I think there's a tremendous potential there. We've got 4 issued patents in Canada and the US around the production of this molecule that, according to the US government, is about 3 times more powerful than THC. They used it in experiments on dogs in the 1970s. And really, this is a product that, again, doesn't exist in any regulated market. We've got the IP around it. We're very excited to roll out some of these innovations. And, this division is really about utilizing our existing drug delivery technology and existing infrastructure. It's where our psychedelic compound work is done, psilocybin, MDMA. We've got some news coming in the future, but certainly I think Nextleaf is a company that sells controlled substances to governments. We've built up a great reputation selling higher risk products like vapes. The returns and the feedback has been phenomenal, and certainly we expect in the future there'll be opportunities to get into other controlled substances and continue to explore strategic and R&D partnerships. We currently have a partnership with Langara University and IRAP funding through the federal government. And for us, I think cannabinoids is where our focus is, but certainly our specialty molecules division is how we really stay ahead on the cutting edge of some of the changing landscape and controlled substances here in Canada and obviously globally, and really continue to innovate, continue to develop IP that we think will be very valuable. Our team, myself, Charles Ackerman, we started in the industry 9 years ago. Peace Naturals, the first cannabis oil producer in Canada. We were acquired by Kronos Group in 2016 and started Nextleaf soon after. Dr. Sherry Boudram, a PhD chemical engineer. When I started in the industry, she was at Health Canada as an inspector. Now Sherry is crossed to the dark side and now helps companies deal with regulatory matters. She's one of the top regulatory experts in the world. We're very lucky to have her as an independent board member, along with Fred Bonner, over 22 years in government. This is our rock star team. Starts with Ryan Coe, our co-founder and vice president. Tom Mulanowski, who previously built Canna Farms, acquired over 130 million. Vipin, our quality assurance person. He was the key guy over at Supreme, which was acquired last year by Canopy, 300 million. He was the key guy. He's on our team now. We're very lucky to have him. And our sales team led by Chris Andrews, who came from Vega. And every one of our key people, they're shareholders. They believe in what we're doing and very committed. I think anyone that comes to visit our lab will certainly attest. We've got a small team. We're right-sized for the Canadian market. And we've got a lot of energy and passion in the building. And really, I think that's translated into the results. And, looking ahead, I'd like to kind of finish here, and then we'll get to questions here in a couple of minutes. But, key catalysts, what's going to really drive the future growth and shareholder value. When we look at Nextleaf, we've got about a $7 million market cap Canadian, which we think is absolutely outrageous, leaves a tremendous amount of opportunity for shareholders at these levels. Over the next 12 months, we're going to continue to see Nextleaf win business from producers that are outsourcing their oil production. We've seen that. We've seen some large facilities get closed down. Nextleaf has developed this solution to monetize unsold biomass into these high-value ingredients. We've been very creative in putting deals together with clients that are win-win. We expect our ingredient supply is going to increase. Recently had our first export. We're very excited now, after 4 years, having our regulatory and commercial platforms in place to be able to now supply the global market. Of course, very excited about what we're going to do on branded products. You're going to continue to see growth in revenue from expanding distribution of our brands into additional markets and adding additional SKUs. Obviously, soft gels was a new category that we've recently launched. We've become one of the top soft gel suppliers here in British Columbia, and we're really excited this year to expand to the prairies, expand with our new High Plains brand. Obviously, Glacial Gold. We've developed a winning track record, outselling a number of the big brands. Most importantly, I think we've really validated our IP and patents. We do think that the value of the patent portfolio won't really be realized until there's U.S. legalization. I think that's going to obviously be the key catalyst. That's sort of out of our control. What our IP portfolio and patents do allow is speed to market advantages in emerging jurisdictions. Obviously, I mentioned our launch into Australia. Obviously, Germany is a market. Italy, Israel. We've got a number of patents in Mexico, and are closely watching that market. And for us, it's all about forming relationships with established players in those markets, being able to increase the speed to getting products into new markets through IP licensing, and really doing what we've done in Canada in the most well-regulated market in the world. And obviously very excited for the opportunity for the United States. So that brings us to the end of our presentation, folks. And I want to get to questions. So I'm gonna read the question and then answer it. And again, please click the question box should you have something you want to get to. If we can't get to all the questions, please email us at info@nextleafsolutions.com. We would be happy to schedule a follow-up call or answer any questions that you have by email. So got a first question. What catalyst for growth and profit can we expect by the year end? And obviously, I think the biggest thing is the increase in our distribution. You're going to see sales ramping with the addition of the Manitoba and Alberta market. We've recently launched in Newfoundland through the #1 distributor there. Ontario is increasing, and we're going to continue to realize business from our export, and obviously our ingredient business. We're picking up some very large licensed producers that are now outsourcing their business to us, and we really see this as a great way to increase our utilization of our production facility and ramp our business. The question about what country, we did touch on that. When do you predict to have yearly positive cash flows and debt free? I think we're certainly happy with where we are from a debt perspective compared to a number of the companies out there. We've got under $1 million in debt, and expect to be debt free here in the next couple of months. We also are looking at how to finance the business in the best way possible. If you looked at our financials, all of last year we used around $800,000 in cash for the year for the operations. And obviously, this is a business that's right sized. We're now finally getting into generating cash from Nextleaf Labs and our commercial operations. It's all about controlling costs. You'll see our operating costs and cost of goods were reduced. I think that's something that, again, we hit on this a lot. You gotta be right sized for the market. I think we've through our technology and our automation, we're able to continue to stay ahead and offer very strong price points within a very competitive environment with a high level of taxation. So I think it's a great validation for what our IP can do in other markets in the US, in Europe, where we expect regulation to be certainly as high and taxation to be similar to what we've seen here in Canada. Some other questions here. Do you expect export international business to continue? We absolutely do. Certainly, we see the global market being a tremendous opportunity for Nextleaf, being a federally regulated producer here in Canada. Has Nextleaf been approached, about being acquired for its technology? And certainly over the last 4 years, we've had a number of discussions. We always like to have our ears open and certainly take calls with investment bankers and other producers. We've had opportunities. I think the board and our advisors have felt that it hasn't been in the best interest of shareholders. And again, we really believe that this company owns an IP portfolio that's worth in the billions. When the U.S. is legalized for us, we're not going to do anything stupid. We're not going to blow up the company. We believe we have a tremendous amount of value under the hood. And again, I think there's a lot of companies that are upside down. They invested way too heavily in cultivation. We have $0 tied up in cultivation. I think it's a big part of our business strategy. obviously would not be interested in any kind of consolidation or acquisition that push the path to profitability further. We think we're perfectly right sized, and we have the resources and the team and the technology to continue to ramp our business and build, I think, one of the most impressive companies in Canada. And for us, we will continue to evaluate. We've had a number of conversations with tobacco, with pharmaceuticals. I think our patents, and more importantly, I think how our brands have sold have got us in a lot of attention. And for us, we're big believers in the business. Our team isn't going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We think we have everything we need to weather the storm. And ultimately, companies that survive this period, we think, will be a lot stronger. When will we publish the December 2020 results? Our quarter ended December 31st. Will be published here by the end of the month, so in the next week or so. Reason behind price compression, and do you expect to change this to change in the coming year? Reason for price compression, there was just a lot more production capacity built with cheap and stupid money in 2018, 2019, 2017. Then there's distribution for all that production. So, I think what you're seeing is the marginal cost of production is actually higher than what you can buy a lot of this flower on the market for. And that's the biggest reason. So it obviously trickles down to extract. When there's a bunch of flower that can't be sold, it often gets turned into oil. We do think that we've sort of hit a bottom. We feel that way because when you look at who has left the space, you've looked at a number of companies that were using off-the-shelf CO2 equipment from the United States, rotovaps and kind of systems that you just simply cannot make money at these prices. We expected this when we built this company, and I think it's followed similar trends that you've seen in the U.S. For us, Nextleaf has a competitive advantage on being able to control the price and quality of the ingredients that go into vapes and oils, edibles, and we're again very excited to continue putting pressure on the market and delivering some high quality distillates. Another question here: does Nextleaf know which U.S. extraction companies are using methods that Nextleaf has patented? Are we tracking these extractors, waiting until legalization to take legal action? So I think the easy answer would be, as I mentioned earlier, we look at IP as a shield, not as a sword. And certainly very excited for the opportunity one day over the 20-year life of these patents to be able to defend them against some of the largest companies globally. But that isn't today. We view these patents as allowing us to operate without any company being able to stop us with their patents. We think that's going to be very important when the U.S. legalizes. We think that certainly this is really a land grab when you think about intellectual property. And once your methods are protected, it's really difficult for companies within a legal regulated market to be able to get past that IP. And again, we've had some of the best patent lawyers look through these things and are very excited for the opportunity to unlock shareholder value in our IP. And actually, it looks like we're running right down. I'm going to try to get one more question here. Positive cash flows. If you look at the question is, when do we expect to have positive cash flows? If you look at how we did over the last 12 months, every month sales increased. Every month, the business got stronger and stronger. And certainly, this is a very exciting year for us. We're finally in a point where Nextleaf Labs is kicking off cash, and we're very excited where the business is. It's all about building a sustainable business, being able to weather the storm, not having to dilute, and more importantly, really validating our IP here in a federally regulated legal market, and opening up all the potential for using that IP in the US and other markets. So thank you everyone for joining us. We think it's an exciting time for our company. I recently bought stock last week, and I'll continue to buy stock. I believe in this company, and I believe that Nextleaf will be one of the survivors that comes out of this market. Certainly, we stand behind the technology, the people, and the brands that we're building. For those that I didn't get to with your questions, please send us an email. I really appreciate the support. You can follow along on our email list through our website, nextleafsolutions.com. We trade as oils on the CSE and OILFF here in the United States. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.